connecting to Twitch TV and TikTok Live in order to present a behind-the-scenes podcast talk show about producing a TikTok / all the video platforms short-form video. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night to you, and welcome to a new dimension of the almost daily variety gaming and content creation live stream show Extravaganza. Please stand by. This live stream behind the scenes podcast, short form, real videos, clippy bits, content creation project will proceed shortly. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching live in the present moment on either Twitch TV or TikTok Live, or you're checking this out after the fact in the not too distant future on the video on demand shelf on Twitch or over on my YouTube profile in the deep archive of all my weird video content experimentations. Your viewership is deeply appreciated. One moment, please, and we will get this party started. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned for all kinds of weird experiments and much more content creation diversity as we reach beyond the video games that we have too many of to play into the broader dimensions of the Zeppoverse project of many projects. Stand by, the live stream will commence shortly. Hello there, friends on Twitch and TikTok Live, and welcome. Me, myself, and I, and all my imaginary fictional character friends that live in my imagination are gathered here to present to you a new weird version of my live stream content creation show, because I've always said, hey, we're going to make content as well as play video games, right? And this is all an experiment that I'm trying to evolve and rehearse into some form and function that I can't really predict because it's, emergent in its properties. Pin on the corkboard, though, if you have no idea what I'm talking about. We'll come full circle and explain a bit more and more. But thank you for being here. SeaTac Studios, the entirely imaginary production company that exists only in my mind, proudly presents the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo's almost daily variety gaming and content creation live stream show Extravaganza. If you're curious to explore all the weird theoretical dimensions of this multi-dimensional project of many projects of content creation of many projects, please, 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 I humbly invite you to head on over to solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. All right, enough of the necessary self-promotion. This is a truly new spin on the wheel of Variety Chaos. Variety Chaos, Variety Chaos. In as much as that we're going to do something weird and novel today. Under the flagship effort of Gamers for World Peace, which is sort of an imaginary thing. It's an imaginary organization that exists in the pages of the literary universe, collectively referred to as the Zeppoverse, which you haven't read yet because I've only just barely started experimentally writing it out here, live, on stream. Every facet of my social media presence is now a functional, working MacGuffin in the book series. And today I'm going to do a little behind-the-scenes look at me trying to get better at making short-form videos for such platforms as TikTok, etc., all the rest of them. And there's a lot to discuss there. And this live stream portion is the chat, let's discuss portion, and also where I'll be referring folks who only see the short form video that we're going to end up producing to go watch if they want to get into a deeper dive of a discussion of the thoughts and things that I'll be sharing in the video. The theme for the video is my conflict about the very nature of my project here. It is a project of way too many projects, and it's overwhelming in a certain level, and woe is me, first world problems. I got a mental note, remember that. Woe is me, what a first world problem. But part of the thing that is deeper and goes beyond that, like just I've set myself up to have too much to do and not enough time to do it in every direction. Even though I have passion and I feel as though I have a unique and interesting vision that I would like to share with the world. I just haven't really articulated it yet in any way that anybody's been like, aha, I get it. This is the next insert name of blockbuster book series here or whatever, right? And maybe, because of all the reasons that it might be so, maybe I don't really have that. Maybe, as my little seductively, brutally intense imposter voice that whispers inside my skull sometimes says, maybe I'm just fooling myself. And I'll die an unknown netizen that rambled at the world and that no one listened to much, except for the few lovely souls that have been tuning in sporadically, and all the gloriously, absurdly, ridiculously annoying bots that come by to try to sell me stuff. But I digress. That's neither here nor there. So short form video is a challenge for me. Mental note, I can remember to bring that up in the short form video, but much more concisely than we're going to get into now, because here's where we do the deep dive. One of the reasons that short form video is challenging to me, one of the reasons that either of these two forms of video presentation are challenging to me is because I am, by training and by natural inclination, and if you accept such notions, divinely given gifts and tools. Not that I think I'm amazing. I just think that's what I'm inclined to do. It's what feels like intuitively natural play, in the sense of like what Alan Watts said about work. If it feels like play, I don't have the exact quote at the tip of my tongue, so pin on the corkboard. Someone go look that up for themselves, and if you are live or in the future you're watching, you can drop the comment. And one of the things that's like adjacent to that issue is that despite having the strengths or the aspirational qualities that I want to believe in myself of having, the world is also... It's like that meme with that little puppy dog sitting in the kitchen, and this is fine. It's fine. I am deeply plagued, and woe is me, first world problem. I am deeply plagued by the dilemma that I'm astounded and admired and admired? I am astounded by the fact that there are folks out there, artists and content creators of all kinds and of all medias and of all platforms, that are still making progress, plugging through, creating their art, whatever it is, right? From sketch comedy reels or shorts or whatever you want to call them, clips, whatever the most TikToks, since TikTok, despite it all, is still apparently the world's flagship content creation app. Wah wah to everybody who deleted it off their machines. I have 3 devices with it installed. Are people really paying like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for a device with a working TikTok app? Because, you know, I'm willing to maybe part with one of these for a nice, it's got to be real though, and there's so much scamming. Okay, I digress. What you're joining me here for, hey DJ Zed, play a little music in the background for our live viewership audience. And let's go through our paces here. Hello and welcome. If you're on TikTok, give me a second. I'm going to try to catch your names. If you're on the TikTok live, I have this situation. I over-explain anytime I go live here through the Streamlabs desktop version 1.17.2 for iMac OS. It has a really great partnership with TikTok Live, which has been letting me stream to TikTok Live, despite the fact that previously I've not been able to use TikTok that way. Oddly, since it came back, I now have access to the direct live broadcast feature on TikTok. But that's a whole nother chapter of weird discussion. Also, wait, hold on. Error. Stage management error. 33.3 was not the volume, the targeted volume. Okay, there we go. So, I was late to the TikTok party. Okay? And we're going to check to see if we caught any names. Because there's probably been people that's dropped in. We're going to give some shout outs to the TikTok Live folks here in 3. Oh, wait. I want to do it with the thing. Please, dear friends, whoever may or may not be watching now and or in the future, join me as we jump through my ridiculously pointless gimmicky thing that is called the, how do we call it in this scene, in this setup? The Infinity Desktop Portal to my desktop portal of infinity. Let's go over here. I think we're right here on TikTok Monitor Live, right? So there are things that are important to TikTok that are not integrated into Streamlabs, even though they've got a deal and have had a deal for a while, long before all the controversy, with TikTok Live to let me stream to TikTok Live. Hitherto, before that, I was not able to at all. Okay, let's go see if we can see any names and then proceed with the project. Jay joined. Lola, Giovanni, Gabrielle Marquez, and someone else's name that I missed because I went and looked up. Thank you for joining us here on the TikTok Live. We are Chonk. Chonk just joined the TikTok Live. We are doing a TikTok Live broadcast about me trying to make a short-form TikTok video that I will then, of course, broadcast and, post to everywhere. Chavez, thank you for joining us. Hello, TikTok Live audience. Please don't be shy. Say hi. Pito something. I cannot read that. My eyeballs are not working. But thank you for joining me. Also, universal blanket apology to anyone. Pazita, hello, thank you for joining. Flaco is just joining. Welcome. Come on through. I apologize to anybody at all times. Standing apology. And please pass this along should the opportunity ever happen. If I mispronounce a name, I apologize automatically. There's a lot of things I don't know how to pronounce. There's Maria Castro. Thank you for joining on the TikTok Live. Although I was once a former live theater performer, trained professionally to perform on stage and also to do technical work backstage, Isabella just joined live. I also, don't do my warm-ups nowadays. Nelson, thank you for joining. Okay, so we're doing a TikTok live stream on TikTok Live and on Twitch TTTV where we're going to make a TikTok video. Why? Because I want to talk about in deeper depths here on the TikTok Live about the things that I'm going to bring up in as concise a form as possible. Jesse G, thank you for joining. And Kim M, thank you for joining. I'm going to try to talk in as concise as short-form a way, right? Nessie B, because I'm experimenting with my own weird form of making content on multiple levels and in multiple dimensions. And welcome everybody who's new. Everything that I do on all my social medias is a literary, functional, working MacGuffin in the book series. I cannot read that, but thank you for joining. User with a bunch of letters and numbers combined that I'm just not going to read it out loud, so it'll take me 10 minutes. Jose Francisco, and then it gets cut off. Thank you for joining. Hello. Gabriel Marquez and Jose Francisco, top viewers. Thank you for being here. Eric Martinez. Hello, friends. User with a bunch of numbers. I don't get what that's about. All right. So I'm going to be, over the course of the next several days, weeks, months, and probably years, writing a book series, a sci-fi action-adventure book series, loosely referenced as the Zeppoverse, here on multiple platforms. And everything else that I'm already doing on social media is a working MacGuffin in that book series, because I'm pretending to be my character stranded here in this world, on your planet, dear human beings. Hello, Jewel something I cannot pronounce. Thank you for joining. Right? So you get it? It's like self-inception of my soul. I'm self-incepting everything that I'm doing on social media because I've chosen to be very specific about what I'm doing in a very weird way that may or may not make sense right away. Into my book series that I have not written yet, because it's set in a medium distance future from now, where things are, quite curiously and ironically and or intentionally, and this is of course foreshadowing, repeating themselves in some new, wild and wacky and exaggerated way, under new science fiction-y, high technology, next level stuff. All of which is based on a mix. Hello, user with numbers as your name. I'm not going to read all those numbers. Sorry, but thanks for being here. The world that I'm building is a world of many worlds. Glorious Soliano. Thank you for being here. I'm going to just stick here. Hold on. Let me double check where we're at. Oh, all right. So I'm going to move from this scene. I forgot we were doing this. Okay. So you can see that's what it's like to try to keep up. Oh, I can do a thing, though. I'm going to try to stay on top. Mag Dingo, thank you for dropping in. So my hack, my workaround, as I over-explain a behind-the-scenes thing, because this is all really complicated, is to do this. And yes, these are my tabs open. We're going to get to this and why I've got this open. I'm not going to explain it now. But here's Twitch. Hello, Twitch. Twitch, I only ever have like one viewer at a time. TikTok Live, I get like a bunch of viewers, but they hang out for 12 seconds and leave. And I get it. I've been on TikTok for 5 minutes and for 8 hours at a time, and I get it. But I'm working on something. I'm not worried about the viewership of this particular live. I want the resulting video at the end to live in perpetuity in my archives as I've set them up as the deeper dive into the subjects that I'm going to bring up and discuss. I'm acting at the camera, and we're not on the camera. Let me turn off my chat bots. I just remembered. Why am I acting at the camera? Okay. No, we don't want that one. I want this one. Take two. So I'm not too worried, but of course, hang about. Come visit. Stick around. I don't... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Boom, boom, boom. We already popped that out. Back to this. Hold on. Sorry. There's going to be a lot of awkwardness here during the live, and we've been disconnected. Reconnecting, 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 reconnecting. Hopefully reconnecting. Oh, it looks like we are because there's names scrolling and I just missed a bunch of names. Sorry, everybody, I just missed your names. But welcome, come on in, say hi. If you say hi, it leaves a more visible, permanent thing, and then I can shout you out and, and say hello and welcome you in more properly. I'm trying to work my workaround. Nero Pirella. Hello, that was the most recent name that popped up. Dear TikTok live monitoring page thingy engineers, fix it so that that is a more persistent list, so I can scroll up and down through that list and see Susan Wilkinson 292. Hello. I'm not going to read people's numbers. I'm just going to read whatever part of the name that sounds like a person's name. Mario Mautu and Marlene Padilla. And if I pronounce anybody's name or butcher it, I'm sorry. Thank you for joining. Come on through. Come on in. Say hi. It leaves a more permanent record in my little floating tab of things so I can shout you out. Selvin GR Genesis, thank you for coming in. Come through. Let's say hello. By the way, when we get to the part where I'm actually going to be recording Gigi, thank you for dropping by. When we get to the part where I'm actually going to be recording the short form, like it's going to be under 10 minutes. Maybe I'm going to try to hit 3 minutes. I don't know if that's possible. Nancy, thank you for joining on the TikTok Live. Come on through and say hi. It leaves a permanent record in the chat so I can interact with you more responsibly. I'll miss out on it if you don't say hi. Please say hi. That's all, I ask. If you're dropping in, and this is interesting. We're here to make a TikTok video. I'll over-explain why, and I'll probably over-explain why again in as concise a form as possible in the TikTok video. But this is the year, for better or worse, sound effect. I need a but different sound effect right there. You know what I'm saying? For better or worse, this is the year that I've bootstrapped myself and familiarized myself with all the madness and started doing the precursor, quote, research. And don't get the wrong idea. I don't mean research like a research at the university or anything. I just mean doing the things that I want to write about someone doing so that I know what to write. You cannot write what you do not know. Ooh, I got to remember that one for the short video. MQ something with a bunch of numbers. Thank you for joining. I'm over explaining my situation, and you're just going to have to catch up. Too bad you can't rewind a TikTok live video or a live stream at all. That should be a thing. Dear live stream, hello, Lourdes. No, there's no R after the D. Lourdes. And Jennifer Lee just joined. Thank you for coming in through. 75 Indiana. 75 Indiana. I don't know. I apologize if I mispronounce your names. Welcome, everybody. Here's what's going on. Gamers for World Peace. I am a living fictional character in the book series that I'm writing, which is science fiction set in the future, blah, 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 blah. Already explained it. Pin on the corkboard. All my social media and my short form reels from now on, and I've been experimenting with this for a long time, but from now on will be really officially, formally, like undeniably, in the way that I do them and in the way that I present them and the way that I share them, a working MacGuffin inside the game. And that's not just to publicize the book series, but in part, yes. I'm trying to find the right audience. Anthony Contreras, thank you for dropping in. If I missed any names just then, I'm sorry. I just needed to stick with my flow, and it's hard to do that. Tony Mitchell, thank you for dropping in. Come on through, say hi, you guys. Anybody whose names I missed, just say hi or drop an emoji, whatever you want. And then I know, I can't see likes the way this works right now. I wish I could. Someone write a letter to Streamlabs telling them to better integrate TikTok live stuff so I can just use Streamlabs without anything else. I digress. So, we're gonna make a TikTok video, folks. And this TikTok video is gonna be a short, concise, under 10 minutes, hopefully, or maybe for TikTok, the full-blown 10 minutes. George just joined, hello. During that time, folks, when we're in the segments, and I'm gonna try to break it up into segments so that, Javi Udavi, hello, and thank you. Will Nerd Dorian, forgive me if I mispronounce. Hello, everybody who's come on through in the recent 30 seconds. Please just stick around, smash that follow button, say hi. We're gonna make a TikTok video on live stream. The TikTok video is gonna be a working MacGuffin in my book series. It is gonna be a statement from the perspective of my character, which you may or may not have noticed is commonly referred to as Mr. Zeppo, is officially titled The Incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, and has a longer name in his own native language, which cannot be pronounced in yours. And so he, for context, which we'll try to tease without over blah, 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 dialoguing. That's why I'm doing it as a live stream. Mistress Lizardness. It's an interesting and curious name, and I'm not judging it. Welcome. Everybody's welcome. Dylan, welcome. Please be advised, something I might say in the video that we're about to make. Hugo, thank you for joining. May or may not be controversial for you. If it is, feel free to talk about it in the chat. I will address it because that's what the long form is for. Right now, this is a long preamble, and a bunch of people are going to skip past this. Probably. Dylan, thank you for joining. But the point is, I'm going to record a segment of my hopefully under 10-minute video, and then I'm going to try to keep it tight and concise. So I'm going to work up to it, talking about it with you guys here in the live stream. Then I'm going to express the nugget that I really want to drill into. And then we're going to come back to the long form and talk about it at length. And I will, here in the long form, in the midst of making the video, if anyone's down and willing and into it, I'm going to respond to the questions, respond to the comments, even criticisms and critique. Bring it. I have thick skin. I have been Selvin GR. Hello and thank you for joining. Lock and Love. Thank you for joining on the TikTok Live. Come on through, come on through. As I was saying, all the usual, smash the follow buttons, blah, blah, blah. Drop an emoji or a hi or a hello or whatever. So if you want to be part of this process, and then we get it. Wanda Nunez. I added the Enye, sorry. Wanda Nunez, I assume. Unless you pronounce it that way, you just don't write it with the tilde. I don't know. Real question. Love to everybody. Much love to everybody for reals. To anybody wondering, I am not your average live streamer. And I'm currently, as we make this TikTok video on TikTok Live and Twitch Live, we're going to be playing a character. I've already explained it, so I'm not going to over-explain it again. But anybody and everybody who sticks around during the live streams, your questions, comments, even your criticisms, and heck, even if there's some trolls up in here, will be part of the broader... Lucero Jose, thank you for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on through. And by the way, Spanish is welcome here. I am also I'm bilingual that way. I wish I knew more languages. I think languages are beautiful, wonderful, amazing things, and they each have their own magnificent rhythms and patterns and trends, and we should have all been encouraged to learn more of them instead of discouraged. But that's opinion on the corkboard. Please be advised. Some people may find some things that I say controversial, some others may not, and some people may disagree in different combinations of what is or is not controversial or triggering or offensive about what I have to say. But I think all languages are interesting and curious, and I think those languages that are slowly disappearing from the world should be preserved and not discouraged from spreading, but encouraged to prosper. I digress. We might as well make a whole nother episode. Frank Ferme, thank you for joining on the TikTok Live. Come on through. Please, friends, drop a hello, especially anybody intrigued by what we're about to do. To recap for anybody new, going to make an actual short form TikTok video. During that time, I'm not going to be able to shout out names. So what I'm going to do is when I press record during those times, I'm going to hide the live center thing. Hopefully it'll recap it for me. But if I miss out on any hellos and shout outs, it's just because of the way the technology is set up and it's not working quite right. Hopefully Streamlabs will get more tightly integrated with TikTok, etc. Sarah, come on in. Say hello. Don't be shy. Say hi. Thank you for joining. The point of the video that I'm about to make is to express myself, engage in the public discourse of self-expression about where I'm at, where I'm feeling, in particular in regards to my own sort of woe is me, first world problems, been on the corkboard, we already talked about it before, we'll talk about it again full circle, creative writer's block that I feel I've now sort of maybe gotten myself past, perhaps, and that we're going to now start trying to experimentally refine the ideas I've been developing for a long time. And do it in this weird, wacky, overlapping way in which sometimes we're live streaming stuff and sometimes we're not, and it all sort of interconnects. So welcome to the madness. Tammy Snyder, thank you for joining. Sorry if I missed anybody else in the meantime. So, okay. In the video, the first thing I'm going to do, and I wish I could make bookmarks, but I'm not going to try to make that happen now. If anybody wants to help, either on the, I don't know if TikTok Live has a bookmarking system or some sort of highlight reels feature. But if anybody's enjoying the vibe, feel free to make reels, feel free to make share. I am looking for audience. I am an aspiring science fiction action adventure meta multimedia storyteller novelist that would love to see someday, some kind of film and video game franchise thing kick off. Duh. Obvious. Standard American dream. No. Pin on the corkboard for all the conspiracy theorists. I get it. I've heard it all. I can't agree. Except for the obvious stuff that's true that isn't above and beyond the world of sanity. But I digress. At this point, that's neither here nor there. I've already talked about that on my podcast. Full disclosure, everybody, I am the host of a podcast that's been around for quite a bit of time now. So if you want to catch up with that, it's all integrated. It is part of the Zeppoverse as well, a working MacGuffin, an archive of my character's thoughts as he has observed reality around himself, having found himself suddenly and abruptly disjointed from his prior reality and now stranded here amongst you, my dear fellow human beings. And going, what the F is going on? So it's an attempt to bring science fiction, comedy, parody, and future dystopianism into our current world. And it's been exhausting because it's just been too much, too fast, and it's just the speed keeps escalating. But this is the year that I'm trying to make it all work. Wow, I can't. Flaquito forever. It took me a hot second to wrap my brain around that pronunciation. Thank you for joining. If I missed anybody else's names, in the meantime, please forgive me. I just was trying to present to the camera, and I don't have a thing on the camera that shows me people's things. So, I am the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, and that character, mind you, please, dear live stream audience, please know, please understand, anyone who's watching this in the not too distant future or in the present live, please understand, I'm not delusional, I'm not insane, I do not believe myself to be the character that I'm portraying. I am trying to develop the content required to write my books, because my books are set in the future, but they're about people figuring out what my character did today and over the lifetime that I'm living now. Do you get it? So the content creation, let's give a quick mini tour to what goes on my live stream. Anybody who's been here before might have noticed that or anybody who's who visits, theoretically, if you have visited or you do visit in the future, my actual TikTok page profile at the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, which I kind of regret, and I wish I could change to just Mr. Zeppo, but I digress. That's neither here nor there for now. You'll notice it is a weird combination of video game clips from Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and others, political discourse clips from other people on my repost tab or my reblog tab. I always forget which one it's actually called. And my own weird, whimsical, spurting attempts at trying to wrap my brain around how all of this worked, because I had missed the boat on TikTok until just before all of the hoopla about everything and the melodrama that just went down. So I was just barely getting my bearings. So my videos are kind of crap. I almost kind of wish I didn't have any of them, but they're there. They're part of the public record. I'm an aspiring playwright, author, novelist, storyteller, crazy person that wishes he had an entire 3-building theater and art-making complex, and the budget and the fundraising and the bazillions of dollars of family inherited money to be able to, I'm gonna self-fund this bitch. But I don't. So I'm working with what I got. And here's what we are. And I'm gonna write about it I'm gonna write about another character separate from the character I'm currently playing now. Although, disclaimer, there's a weird way that they're all connected. Foreshadowing. Spoiler alert. I'm not gonna spoiler it. So thank you for joining me. Estrellita! Thank you for joining me. I hope I pronounced that almost close to correct. I do speak a little bit of Spanish, so if you're a Spanish speaker, you are welcome here. Feel free to say hola, or ciao, or however you like. So please be advised, I'm a real human being, and I refuse to despise anyone. I refuse to target anyone with irrational, ideologically driven madness. And for those of you who are familiar with me, I've already spent quite a bit of time on many other platforms in many other different ways, clearly and objectively expressing my worldview and my concerns and my questions, and always repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over again, deflecting nonsensical insinuations and weaponized false accusations about how much I must despise other people in order to say what I'm saying. And it makes no sense. Because at the root core of what I want to talk about is why we're making this video. Furia, thank you for joining. I don't know how I was supposed to pronounce that, and I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. Thank you for joining TikTok Live. We're explaining stuff. If anyone wants a recap of what's going on, please feel free to ask me. WTF is going on? By the way, salty language is welcome here. I got no problem. I got a thick skin. Here is a Zeppoverse tagline to the incorrigible Mr. Zeppos. Many characters all say this because he does have many instances of himself. Pin on the corkboard. We'll over-explain that later. But my dear brothers and sisters, or sisters and brothers in internet usage, in this world in which we all share, I have been using your internet as you have deployed it. Ever since way back before your internet provider, formerly known as AOL, even launched. So I've seen a few things. Lewis with many emojis, thank you for joining. Hello. So I've got pretty thick skin. And of course, Chris Anti with lots of emojis. Hello, welcome, come on through. Don't be shy, say hi, smash the follow buttons, etc. Click on the link so you know what's going on. Read the recap. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. We're making a long-form behind-the-scenes video, which will be the place people go to discuss the topics we're about to unearth. I'm about to open a can of worms on this short-form video, but this is not rolling yet. This is not filming. Franklin.com. I've never had a whole website visit before. Thanks for being here, I suppose. I'm about to make a TikTok video. I'm about to make a video that I'm going to share on all of my social media. Because me as a real human being, and also me as an artist wanting to create the voice of a character that will then be written about in the future theoretical past tense of retconning our reality to suit the needs of my own fiction, but also including my own thoughts about this reality in it as actual things that my character says, having been stranded here on your planet, hiding amongst you as a visitor from beyond. Right? Make sense? Okay. It's science fiction, folks. But my worldview, my opinion about them is not. I want to make that very, very clear. And I'm dead serious. Okay, so thank you for joining me. I hope I've explained it well. I know that this is going super crazy long, and it's fine, because this is live stream mode. And I'm down to chill and let it kind of breathe. So if anybody at this point has any questions on the TikTok or on the Twitch, please feel free to say hello. And post your question. Internal edit. Sound effects cue needed here. Crickets. Millions of crickets in an open marsh. You know what I mean? That's standard, but multiplied. It starts with the one cricket and then expands. That's the sound effect I would drop right here if I were in post to add sound effects to this, which I'm not going to do because that takes way too much time, and it's going to take way too much time to do what we're doing now. Kathleen Larson 90, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us here on the TikTok Live. We're also live streaming to Twitch simultaneously. This will be highlighted and archived forever on Twitch because it's the first of its own weird wackiness. And I am letting my verbal diarrhea and this be my warm-up just as we approach the act that we're actually going to do. I'm going to make a TikTok video, and then people will watch it and come back to this video and be like, what the F happened? And then hopefully, if we get a little audience here during the live, we will have interesting things to discuss about what I say into this camera when it starts rolling for the short form video. It might not work as intended this time, but I'm going to start doing this. I don't know how often. I can't do it every day. And I've got a million other things that I want to do. Pin on the corkboard, that's one of the themes of this video. Is that I've created a project that's got way too many things that need to get done and I cannot do them by myself. And if I had any little bit of money, if I had 1/15 the money that these really bazillionaire people that are doing a bunch of things that I don't understand why they're doing them, if I had that money, I'd be I would have made this studio that I talk about, that I say is the imaginary production studio that only exists in my imagination. That is CTAG Studios, CTAG Studios. And of course, the letters may or may not mean the first thing that comes to your mind. And if it's something crazy and horrible, shame on you. And if it's something naughty, depends on how naughty. Mary Daquilim. I am so sorry, I probably did not pronounce that right. But Mary, thank you for dropping in. Okay, so enough intro, right? When I actually do the segments, I'm probably not going to be able to do more hellos. But I am now going to get ready to start. Mary Daquilima is the most recent person that joined. Thank you for being here. I don't know if they will still be here when we leave. Oh, no. Concepcion Vasque. Hello, welcome. Thank you for dropping in. Or saludos. Should that be appropriate too? When I make the TikTok video, hopefully I haven't forgotten what I wanted to say. I had a deep... Elizabeth, thank you for joining in. I had a deep feeling and vibe after my last TikTok video, which I'm not going to play for the live. We'll leave that as a mystery. If you guys are watching this now or in the not too distant future and you have not been to my main TikTok profile, I humbly invite you to go do so and see the video pinned at the top. And I'll make sure it's the only one pinned so that you'll know that that was sort of the alchemist user with a bunch of numbers. Hello, for dropping in. That was sort of the trigger. I made that video because I honestly needed to say that to the world. And then afterwards, I was processing what it felt like to have said that to the world. Hello, another user with a big long number. Thank you for dropping in. I've already explained the thesis of what's happening. If anyone really wants a recap, please feel free to say so. We're going to move forward. In those moments after processing what I just posted, which I won't replay now, you can go check it out now, later, whatever. Go check it out now and come back. It might help inform you as we then proceed to make this video and talk about it. This is like the office hours for the short video I'm going to make. I'm going to make a short video, and then this live video, I'm going to then let myself ramble about the thing I'm going to try to put in concise moment. And the first bit is that I'm at a crossroads where I'm really struggling, and I feel like imposter syndrome is a mess. Because it's amazing to me how anyone can continue to do something wonderful, uplifting, powerful, beautiful, that makes us laugh, that makes us feel good, that makes us think, that makes us feel awe, that makes us feel joy, that makes us feel empowerment, that makes us feel amazement in the face of all this overwhelming chaos. Like, I'm struggling. And it amazes me how many other people are proceeding to do so with apparent eloquence and power. So I think I just gotta bootstrap myself to try to proceed to do that. I literally stared at my calendar and how, just the overwhelmingness of it all. And I thought I need to do something. And so here we are. Thank you for joining me. I need to take a little moment to get ready because I need to open this short form TikTok video that's going to hopefully bring eyes to this longer form video that's going to be archived on Twitch and on YouTube. Veronica Valdez, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, if you're confused what's going on, please don't be shy. Say hi and ask away. Let's proceed without further ado. I just explained the whole thing, so I'm happy to explain it again, but future viewers will be like, oh, wow, okay, that's what's going on as we move forward. I'm going to open up my generic, show it to you, I'll do it this way. I'm going to open up my generic video camera because I'm going to make a video. Ooh, I've never done this before. Well, maybe I'll do it like this. I know, we'll start like this. I've got a crazy, we're experimenting, right? So for the record, we're going to start like this, and then we're going to tinker flipping the camera just to see what it looks like. And that's purely because I've never done it before. Mason, hello, thank you for joining. Hello, TikTok audience. I am the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, and I am on TikTok Live and on Twitch TV Live because I want to make a TikTok video, but I wanted to document and discuss the making of it and the themes that I'm about to bring up in it. So this is sort of like the office hours or the chat for the TikTok video that I'm about to make. Francis I cannot. Guerrero. Francisco Guerrero. Hello and thank you for dropping in. All right. Here we go. Sorry. It's not vanity. I just don't want to look. I want to look a little well put together, right? Fun fact. I have literally. Oh no, I just messed that up. I've literally cut and styled my own hair for decades. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't really. Evaliz22, thank you for joining. Hello and welcome. We are doing a little experimentation. I'm about to get into a TikTok video. Warning to anybody who is watching on the live stream. This may or may not be your thing. This may or may not be what you want to. If you would have stumbled into this video in the future, you may or may not have liked it in the first 30 seconds. And that's fine. If you want to stay and talk about it, that is also fine. If you don't, that's totally cool. But I'm going to be doing this kind of thing. I don't know if it's going to be once a week or once a month or what. But I'm also going to be doing this backwards. I want to be doing live streams. I think we can get away with this. I think this is possible, right? I want to do live streams where we go back and revisit either my old videos or old videos or videos I previously reblogged on TikTok. Because what was said by them or what I talked about then, I want to do a deeper discussion about. So if that's your jam, if you're interested in that sort of community building, you're welcome to stick around. Smash that follow button. This, by the way, is all also part of a larger project, which I've already explained a couple of different times here as we've led into this pin on the corkboard. And I'm sure I'll explain again, but you can start exploring for yourself at your own pace over at solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. It may not make sense at first, but eventually it will. Okay. So the first bit will be about introducing how I feel a little like what I just said, conflicted, right? Like, it's amazing. And I wish I'd recorded it before, but we did record it. So I'm going to try to find a way. I'm going to take a moment. And if I miss out on it, okay, if I miss out on any names now, I apologize. I'm going to hide that tab. That's the thing I was talking about earlier. I'm going to hide that tab so that hopefully when I bring it back up, I'll be able to read the one line of scrolling names that catches up to itself. Okay, here we go. Hold on. I'm going to adjust where the camera sits. Here we go. One weird, and I'm sorry if the lighting for the live stream is less than awesome, but it's perfect for this screen right here, and I'm going to run with it. And then I'll come back over here and talk to you guys too. So we're going to discuss what I'm about to talk about in depth afterwards. And if it's just me rambling for a bit, I'll try to make it as entertaining as possible. And in the future, as we repeat this process, hopefully an audience gathers, a community builds, and we'll be able to make a short form video where I say something that I'm, struggling with how to express, and we also discussed it in depth in the, on the long form B side or the behind the scenes recording. And that's my way of experimenting into other forms of content creation for this and all the different platforms. So thank you for being here. Here we go. If anybody is dropping into the TikTok live or the Twitch live right now, I'm sorry I'm not shouting out your name. I'm going to try to catch up in between takes. I'm going to do this in short takes where I'm going to pause the recording and then chit chat and then come back to it. Here we go. How do I want to start this? I know how I want to start this. I think I do. Here we go. Hello and namaste, my dear sisters and brothers in aliveness. Thank you for tuning in. I've got some things I want to talk about, as we all do, right? Social media, self-expression. And this may feel a bit, woe is me, first world problem. Pin on the corkboard, we talked about that in length in the behind the scenes B-side long form video. Come check it out. And it's true, I'll admit it. That was me, first world problem. But there's things I want to share and that I feel inspired to talk about after having made the last short form video that I made So thank you for joining me. Let's take a moment to cleanse the palate, shall we? Let's take a deep breath together. Please and thank you. All right. Forgive me for this self-indulgence, but I am at crossroads where I feel both inspired to make content and extremely wary or cautious and sort of incapable of making content. And simultaneously in awe of everyone and anyone's out there that I'm seeing continue to make content that is also awesome and funny and hilarious or meaningful or moving or powerful to me. And I'm sure there must be other people out there that are feeling that way. And that's what this little video is about. And that's also what the office hours on the B-side long form video is about. So pin on the corkboard. This is an experimental process and I'm inviting you to join me. Please, I don't have a way to drop the link now as I'm talking, but please do find the longer version of the behind the scenes of me making this video to join us in a deeper discussion. There's a couple of things I want to hit, and I'm going to pause right now to sort of open up the office hours discussion, and hopefully we'll get some people over there live. Maybe not today, but as we move forward and do this more often, hopefully an audience will gather and we can sort of do both things at once. If it makes sense, I'm glad you're joining along. If it doesn't, forgive me. It'll hopefully make sense in a hot minute. Okay. Was that a good mini recap of everything I just rambled about? Yay or nay? I don't know. Do I have a big old audience watching that was prepared and ready to engage in the audience participation aspect that I'm envisioning of that? No. According to Streamlabs Desktop, I've got one viewer on Twitch. And hello and thank you to whoever you are. I have a sneaky suspicion. I think I know who you are. And thank you. Bless you. You're always here for me. And thank you very much. And if that's not that person, thank you for being here, whoever you are. If it's just an average of one person because people keep dropping in and then disappearing, that's also awesome. Thank you, whoever you are. Please, 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 don't be shy. Say hi. Drop a hello. Ask a question. I think I've turned off my chat bots. Let's go here. So, okay. Evelise222 is still the only name on the TikTok Live Center, which means nobody dropped in, apparently, while we recorded the segment, which is fine. We're going to get back to the next segment in a hot second. I need to gather my thoughts, and thank you for being here. If there was a huge audience of dozens and dozens of people from all over the place, I'd be opening it up for questions right now. Like, what questions do you got? What do you want to say? If you want to heckle me, heckle me. If you want to bully me, bully me. Let's go. And then we would do it. We would blah, we'd babble. We would hash it out. And then that would inform me in what I would about to record next after I unpause the video. Because I'm going to unpause the video and try to say a few more thoughts about stuff and things. All right, we're going to go back over here to Streamlabs. Leave it there. I'm glad I took a break because I need a sip of tea. Here we go. Let's just proceed. I'm not going to tinker with flipping the camera. It's too much. It'll just take away time. I sincerely want to take a moment to say bravo, bravo, bravo to everyone out there who has impacted me through their content. Whether it was something funny that genuinely made me laugh, something inspiring that genuinely moved me in an upward, uplifting direction, something intellectually alarming that brought a concern or a need of something that needs to be discussed or thought about to my attention. As far as the ecosystem of platforms go, TikTok is sort of a home base for me now, which I didn't really plan. But there's a bunch of videos there. And if you're watching this on TikTok, you can just click on over on the repost tab right now if you want to catch up to the most recent ones. And if you're not on TikTok but are down to come visit I humbly invite you, not just to see my own TikTok exclusive content that may or may not be cropping up there in the not too distant future, and or to catch up with the nonsense that I was doing exploring the platform when I first joined it, etc. But more specifically, and for the intent and purposes of this video that I'm making right now, the stuff on my repost or reblog tab. I'll wait, take a moment, make it happen, and then, I mean, you don't literally have to do it now, but I want to sort of pause the video anyways, so I'm just going to pause it on that thought. If you want to take a moment to go do that, feel free to pause this video that you're watching right now and navigate your way if you can. If you can't, don't worry. You can find me on a plethora of other social media platforms, and especially some of the newer, reliable, trustworthy ones that are short-form video-specific ones. And of course, I've got some old-school ones, like my YouTube channel, which I've been underutilizing for reasons that I don't understand, from to whence from hitherforth now on all video content will be archived. So ultimately, that's the infinity archive, because that's the only platform that still works that way on the internet as far as I know. So let's pause for a second and then take a deep breath together and then proceed to talk about some of the madness and why I think it's important that we continue if we can, and why it's okay that if we can't, like, it's okay to step back and take a break and take a deep breath and take a purge from any of the things that you're doing, as long as you can keep, providing for yourself, etc. and all that. And as always, I humbly thank you for joining me. I'm going to take a moment to do that myself. A deep breath and a reorganization of my thoughts, because then I want to focus on a few things with the time I have left. Okay, so what are we going to talk about here? This is the deep dive session, right? This is the archive version. This is going to be on YouTube and on TikTok. I mean, no, not on TikTok, on Twitch Live. And if there are other long-form platforms that are worth getting onto that I haven't realized are there for me to get onto, I might be investing in that. But I don't know how long this is going to go. We're already at 57 minutes and 20 seconds, so that's epic. This is going to be a 10-minute video, I can feel, because I'm not entirely sure if I'm ready to stick the landing. And the narrative hasn't quite... wasn't sure what was going to come out of my mouth, folks. Pin on the corkboard. This has been the subtitle and or tagline of all of my content creation projects since I started experimentally exploring if I could develop my own flow and my own voice on the interwebs. Real, raw, and radically unscripted. No one is telling me what to say, unless you're going to accept the reality of what I'm going to talk about next, if I get to it in time. Here we go. And what I mean is that no one's telling me what to say. No human being is telling me. So that's a disclaimer that I think I feel obliged to have to make now over and over and over and over again, because of the normalization of weaponized false accusation. That malarkey is not allowed here. Okay? It is inhumane. It is not cool. It is not meaningful. It is not a winning argument to just make up nonsense about someone or a group of people and sling that like a, a tale of dialogue. I don't know what. Like a what? Like an ape flinging poo. Like, what are you people doing? And I don't mean, I'm not angry and I don't hate anybody, but there are a lot of people out there in social media. And some of them are on my pages and have been for a while. And all y'all know who you are. And if you're watching, welcome. Please stop with the malarkey. In everything I do, I'm humbly asking people to really stop and think critically for themselves. I don't want anyone's blind faith. I don't want anyone to just not... I mean, if you do genuinely and authentically agree, hello. Let me know, please, and thank you. Nice to meet you. And here's something that people may or may not find easy to agree with. And that's that if you've seen any of my content where I say one of the central pillars of my entire thesis is, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't yet, you don't. At least not yet, but you will. Because hopefully I've hooked you and engaged you. No, I'm kidding. I'm not a fisherman trying to fish people out of water. Was that a real analogy? I am a content creator genuinely trying to express my thoughts, concerns, questions, critical thinking, conclusions, and observations about the world. And I tragically never took the path of trying to become a stand-up comic or a stand-up comedian, whichever one is the correct technical term. Although I always sort of fancied it. I don't know why. Now I'm trying to make up for it by experimentally making up my own format that may or may not translate into stand-up comedy, and I'm not pretending to be good at stand-up comedy in any way, shape, or form. I have been told that I'm naturally funny, and I do know for a fact from my own personal tangible experience, and I mean at a phenomenological level, right? This is not me making up things that I believe about myself. These are things that I felt. When I am connected and present with someone, and someone else is connected and present with me, stuff flows. And funny things come out of my mouth that I couldn't have written down the day before at all. Legit. And given the fact that I'm literally a professionally trained theater performer, although it never went anywhere for me, like literal failed actor. You're gonna throw this at me? I'll be like, yup, laugh and go, what's your point? In your face, in real life, on the internet, in public. Someone says, if I was having this conversation with you at a pub or something, but I guess people are going to try anyways, right? I am a failed actor, but I am an actor that loved the craft, paid attention, and thought of it as something more than just an industry to make a living off of. Why? Because we've always been storytellers. The human species has always been storytellers. And this is central to my thesis and may not make it into this short form video, which is why I'm going to start doing them like this, because these thoughts are all interconnected. Okay, let's check to see if anybody on TikTok is in and or maybe has dropped some chat. Stephanie Lee joined recently, and there was another name that scrolled up. All right, the system is imperfect, but maybe, just maybe, as we experiment and tinker, it'll get better. But I digress. I have always been a storyteller because the human species has always been a storyteller, right? My character in the book series has always been a storyteller because I'm writing him that way. Right? Comedy. So thank you for joining me for that. What does it matter? Many people in our world today might laugh off this simple, undeniable fact that we've always been storytellers. I would argue that they're missing out on it. Anybody who dismisses it, who doesn't care, who thinks it's meaningless, who just kind of goes, okay, true, whatever, false, whatever, and doesn't probe it further, doesn't contemplate it deeply, doesn't engage with it in a practical, pragmatic way, the next statement may sound like a ridiculous and foolish and maybe emotional or childish leap of logic. But storytelling is magical. Now, magic is a touchy word. So I'm just going to use it as magical. But pin on the corkboard, we can get into a deeper discussion, and my character will forwardly in the future get into deeper discussions about just how magical he thinks it is. Okay, let's get back to this thing. Let's recap that as a one-sentence, one-liner. Undeniable, the following statement. The human species has always been a species of storytellers and of audience that listens and engages. And as silly and as trite and as meaningless as that may or may not seem, there is a power and a value and a magicalness to that. And in the long form, pin on the corkboard, in the long form, behind the scenes, office hours chat about it, I'm going to go on a diatribe about that, and I'm going to invite you to come check that out. Because it's central to everything, but I need to talk about other things before we run out of time. And that's how these weird videos are going to work. So please, I humbly invite you, and I humbly ask for your patience as we jump to a completely different, but totally interconnected point in my little constellation of things I'm trying to cram into this video before I run out of time. Good grief. I don't even know. It's no longer the video I thought it was going to be, which is interesting, but that's fine. And I'm now going to try to bring it into some place that ties it all together, hopefully. And I can stick some sort of landing, even if it isn't what it is, what I set out to do. I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling deeply conflicted about wanting to do X, Y, and Z. A cacophony of way too many things at once. From playing video games live on a stream because someone told me that you can make money doing that way. And is that a crazy thing to do to make money? I don't know. Is it? Plenty of other people are doing really crazy, ridiculous things that I would never do to make money. And everyone needs to make money. Pin on the corkboard, there's been a lot of discourse about that, both in my podcast and in the content creators that I reference. But I've lost my train. I've completely derailed, which is so me. Now, if I had an audience of tens and tens and tens, or fives and fives and fives of people, and that's just an attempt at comedy, they might be able to be like, throw me some questions, or, blah, blah, blah. If I had a co-host, I'd be able to be like, what are we talking about? What are we making this what is this video that we're making about? There's so many things crashing together at once, and I'm trying not to completely get derailed. But times are strange, to say the least. And someone's video, a pair of different videos recently sort of triggered me. And then combined with the sentiment that I needed to express in my previous video here on this and most other platforms, combined together into and here we are. Forgive me. But we need storytelling of all kind. We need to be able to laugh. I need to be able to laugh. We need to be able to then focus on what's going on and talk about it with authenticity and sincerity and civility and calmness. And we need to explore our questions, right? The questions that we're asking and the questions that are not being asked. There's so much going on at once that it's impossible. It's impossible, right? From the multitude of different conflicts that is an impossible to comprehend number of nearly 60. Of 60 wars going on in the world. How do we not call this World War V or whatever, right? And I don't know, is that a term that... Erase. No. Pin on the corkboard. That's a whole theme in the book series. In the future, how that just perpetuates itself and goes on and is hyper-normalized and is now a vibrant part of our global economy. Meanwhile, human suffering and the question of what to do about it and the irony of the thing that personally here, right now, in the present moment, that frustrates me and that worries me, we're going to experience a repetition of history now, and that we might experience repetition of history in the future. And that's the complete and total inversion of a system that is supposed to be about one thing, turning it into another for the purposes of targeting humans as individuals and as targeted groups, so that they may be dehumanized and devalued and objectified and treated without dignity. And ironically, for better or worse, the folks doing so are doing so in the name of a guy that preached the opposite. This really chaps my hide. And if you're not new to my content, you may have noticed I've already mouthed off. I've already stood on my soapbox and talked about it before. And I'm going to stand on my soapbox and talk about it again. And there's a really specific reason why. And I'm almost I'm totally out of minutes because We're 10 minutes and 5 seconds into it, and TikTok only allows 10-minute long videos. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about that. But I guess we're going to make a 20-minute long video and split it exactly in half. Okay, so I've paused it. Deep dive. Deep dive. What am I trying to talk about here? Not only do I have imposter syndrome, and that gets trippy once you get deep down into what I'm trying to create, if you think about it, if you really think about it. And two, I also see what's going on with the world, and I have been seeing what's going on in our world, in your world, in the world that you live in the world that I live in, the world that sometimes, more and more often, makes me feel like I am indeed some strange foreign entity from another universe, stranded here, going, what is going on? How can this be? At some point earlier in the last 24 hours, I said out loud to myself, alone, in my abode, for which I'm infinitely grateful to have, because but by the grace of God go I to some place where I don't have that. And I thought to myself, how in the world is this the crazy comic book universe that I'm actually living in? Like, how? And I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling like that. And what, and the opposite question is, or the question that then comes to mind for me as an inverse, like, whoa, trippy thought. It's like, how can people be living through this comic book universe timeline and not be appalled at what a bizarre, just what? A level of cluster effery. Like, what the F is this comic book universe that we're living through right now? How can they not see it that way? Like, how can they be like, yep, that's what I want. I want this comic book crazy, inside out, topsy-turvy, Jesus is too woke timeline. I can't comprehend it. I don't hate anyone who's like cheering for all this right now. I just can't comprehend it. And I do feel bad that like I want to make art that's like, whoa, what is that? And then analyze it artistically based on the facts on the ground, the facts of the statements made, the facts of the actions taken. And the crazy thing is, that's overwhelming. So high five to you if you're doing it, in your own way out there. And several content creators come to mind, and I'm in awe of them. But neither here nor there. We need to make this video shorter or make this video longer and then cut it in half. Well, I guess I could cut it in half anyways and just do it as 2 5.5, 6 minutes videos. Let's see if we can stick a landing. Yeah. Where am I going with all of this? Okay, please and thank you. And hello and shout out to everybody behind this camera who may or may not be watching on that other camera in the 2 double live streams that we're doing as a B-side experimental office hours chat show about the making of this short 2-part video now that we're going to split it in half. Thank you for being here. For me personally, and I cannot speak for anybody else, and I do not mean to infer any unspoken conclusions either. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Some of you should know who you are with that statement. But my life, for better or worse, has been lived through the lens of the puzzle, enigma, mystery that is Christianity in its broadest sense, which includes, of course, many, 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 many disparate, different, and confusing components, at the core of which there is always simply this: what did he say? What did he teach? And what was the point? Well, why are we suddenly talking about the words of Yeshua Christos? I'm not trying to push a religion. I've weirdly been accused of that a few times. You know who you are. I'm not, because I don't abide by. After a lifetime of honest, sincere, unbiased, to the best of my ability, pin on the corkboard, we've talked about inherent bias, and there's plenty of discussion about that to be had, and we can go around in circles, and I've had my contribution to that already. But I spent a broad portion of the bandwidth of my critical thinking skills, of my mind, of my imagination. And yes, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with having an imaginative life, a life of thought and exploration and whimsical visualization in the theater of the imagination. Pin on the corkboard, I've had a podcast episode, and I'll need to come full circle and do it again. I have a whole other podcast episode about imagination and why we treat it so duplicitously. We do imagination so dirty and then pretend that we love it so much and then do it so dirty again, right? Because how many of you have mocked and dismissed and or laughed at or chided something or someone for their whimsical and childish imagination and the things that they've imagined? And yet, without the power of imagining things, we would have never done any of it. And pin on the corkboard, take note of the double-edged sword that is the power of imagination, because how else does one get themselves to a place of believing in something that cannot be proven? And I know that I sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. And, how can someone bring themselves to the point of believing in something that cannot be proven and then taking action based on those beliefs? It's a conundrum. It's a mystery. And it is, if it isn't clear to you, part of what's going on in our world today. And that is overwhelming. All of that is overwhelming because it's all interconnected, right? And you can't, what's that old saying? You can't swing a cat in this town without hitting insert idea or archetype or whatever it is here. Whoa, am I spiraling out of control or not? We're at 14 minutes. We better stick this landing, folks. Please join me in the broader, much more relaxed and groovy, breathed, slow tempo live stream video, which will be archived for you to go visit after the fact, after having watched this short form two-parter, to understand what I'm trying to experiment with and to hopefully maybe engage retroactively in the broader discussion that's being had back there. And those will be available simultaneously on Twitch as a permanently saved highlight and on YouTube. YouTube will be my forever archive until I guess it isn't. Okay, now we're at 15 minutes. You got 5 minutes to stick a landing. My siblings in humanity. I feel weird and silly and imposter syndrome-y and icky and wrong and guilty unnecessarily when I am trying to bootstrap myself into creating content in need of an audience. And too much of it too, because it's like, what am I doing? I'm playing hours and endless hours and hours and hours of video games, and pin on the corkboard, I have and will explain again why. But I'm doing research by doing so, because I'm trying to write about characters in the future that did stuff in the past, and one of those characters is a character that played an endless amount of video games. And then weird, strange things happened to them. But I'm also posting about social, economical, spiritual, philosophical, and I guess to a certain degree unavoidably religious topics. And I'm also trying to write a science fiction and adventure series. And some days I'm like, who the hell am I to be doing any of these things? And why am I doing them? And nobody cares. And no one's going to come listen. And I got to breathe through it and go, yeah, okay, deep down, That's always a concern and always true. But my answer when I'm thinking clearly, when I've got the clarity with me, when the Spirit is upon me, is because deep down, I have a few things to say and I want to couch them in this project of many projects and in this hitherto unwritten book series so that they can be read and discussed and debated and thought about by others. And I humbly invite you to join me in that journey and participate, because it's all about the collaborative public discourse of such things. And at the center, if one of my earlier videos was about how healing is at the center of my message, let me share with you one key and hopefully not too controversial thing that I think is true. And this may be considered weird and bizarre and hard to believe and or not true and or crazy and or radical and or what, so many expletives you can put here. Not expletives, so many adjectives I can imagine people using against it. But that which is the divine thing, which we commonly call by the names of our gods and goddesses throughout all time, throughout all cultures, throughout all religions, I am humbly inclined to conclude based on, and this is important, phenomenological experiences. And I'm not claiming to be anything special. I'm not claiming to be a chosen one or blah, blah, blah. But I just mean life is life, and life is aliveness, and aliveness is that divinity. And it doesn't want to do any of the crazy things that the most extreme and disturbing and profoundly alarming of the self-proclaimed organized religions are doing, and want to do, and are trying to do, especially not here in the United States of America, where we are seriously facing an attempt, sly and distractionary and riddled with crazy chaos, to try to keep people off foot, as it may be presenting. I can't, after watching the last 40 years of American history, I can't not say, I could be wrong, but I think we're deeply in danger of having a ethno-nationalist theocracy imposed upon us. One which, if Yeshua Christos himself were here right now, he would immediately work to topple and dissemble and heal, because he would not bend the knee to it. And I don't know if we're ready for that conversation yet or not, but I think it's part of what we got to have. Let me know what you think in the comments. And join us in the long-form videos that will be, from now on, part of the creation of these short-form videos, and join in the discussion in the broadest sense possible. May peace, love, and grieviness blossom in your hearts. And may we all find a way to survive what's going on and make a living and continue to build towards a better, more humane, more just, more wonderful place for all of us to share, because that's what it's at, folks. We're all stuck here on this planet together, no matter how you slice it. Okay, friends. Well, we went over on time, so we got to figure out what to do there. I was trying to land it right at 19 and something, but I wasn't done babbling. All right. Namaste. My dear sisters and brothers in aliveness. That's the video that we made. I've got some things I want to talk about as we... And that was me for the first time tinkering and experimenting. Why am I doing this? Is it weird? It's a bit redundant. I will not deny. I'm literally live streaming to Twitch and TikTok, me making a short form video, which will end up on TikTok and a bunch of other platforms, including but not limited to the usual suspects. And why am I doing it? Because so much is going on all at once, everywhere. And so much is going on all at once here in the nation I call home, that I've loved living in since I Realize that, you realize one day, oh, I live in this country and it's called this and it works apparently like that, right? It's part of the process of self-realization as we grow up. We realize things about our context. And one of the things that I realized really, 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 really early on that has just been alarming and confusing and frustrating and that really chaps my hide is that the people who claim to be the followers of Yeshua Christos are doing everything but what he taught. And we have to have that discussion. We have to have it calmly and seriously. We have to make art about that calmly and seriously and with humor and with compassion. And that doesn't mean joining a church. That does mean stepping up to speak out when churches as entities, as infrastructure, as, blessed, some of them are corporations, do things that have impact on people that are not what Yeshua Christos taught. What does that have to do with Call of Duty Black Ops 6? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Except for this weird little widget, which is something that I didn't manage to fit into this video. But there's a reason, there's a multi-layered reason why I'm playing video games in this variety chaos wheel of way too many video games to play all at once. And I've already over-explained it a little bit, and part of it is that I want to write short stories set in an alternate reality similar to our own, in which people today in this sort of setting, or maybe in the past too, I might retcon the past and create a live streaming, video game live streaming industry in a decade where it didn't exist, like the late 80s, early 90s. And I want to write a story about a motley crew of strange and unusual and bizarre and diverse and sometimes at odds with each other group of human beings with a passion for gaming, that in their passion for it help create this industry, right? Which I was already way too late to the party. I was super late to the party when it comes to live streaming about any kind of content. But I want to write a book series or a short story series about characters like that. And it was difficult to imagine how before. I could imagine the rough and tumble things, but not the real nitty-gritty things, not the real practical, simple things that you would never have known had you never spent your time trying to play video game content as part of this competitive, weird micro market of commodify yourself for other people's entertainment as a live stream, right? And yet here we are. And to do that, to write that book series or short story series, whatever it would turn out to be, I thought to myself, well, you know what I got to do? I got to run my own live stream and see if I get an audience and know what that struggle is so I can really write about it. So thank you to anybody and everybody that's been part of that journey so far. And here we are, right? Okay, so in theory, in a future version, we will have slowly garnered an audience, and I would have said some slightly, maybe I need to do some more writing for myself. That's the harshest bitter pill advice that everyone that is a creative that I know, that I've talked about my personal, like, writers, block creators, block video, this is the first time in a really long time when I felt that I'm even capable of contemplating the notion of like, okay, we're going to make a video. We're going to make another video. We're going to do the live stream. We're going to write a chapter. We're going to do this hustle every day, day in and out, as if it was my full-time job. And I haven't been able to bring myself to do it, really. And I'm also, even when I've been trying to do it, I've been feeling such a miserable, silly, first world problem excuse of and of course, there is the voice in my head that says, get a fucking real job. And I'm like, how? In this economy? How? And also, people have said to me, get a fucking real job. My only answer to that is like, hey, what makes you think I haven't tried? And my other question to you is like, what kind of job would you recommend I get? The kind that you don't want to pay a living wage for? All right, there's so much to unpack there. And there's so many people doing that so eloquently on the internet. And guess what? A bunch of them are the people on my reblog tab. So we've come full circle. From economic inequality to the understanding the ideology of the oligarchs, to questioning the theocratic notion that is being peddled currently by certain sectors of the right wing, to, pin on the corkboard, I'm one of those hashtag 2 wings, 1 bird kind of guys. Wait till we make that video. Tune in for that one, because it's coming up. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but I've already started the slow bits and pieces of trying to make a meme for that. And, like memes, so easy to make. Sometimes you can't find the right image and you can't really draw it yourself and you don't want to make AI do it. Anyways, I digress. Shout out to anybody that dropped by to say hi or didn't say hi during the process. And more especially, let's see, Day, Roxanne, Day, and Amber Nicole, and Caesar, and John Morant, and Atkins Dossman again, Boom Dollar Boys. Y'all were recently coming through here on the TikTok Live whilst I was making that. Maybe still here, maybe not. But anybody watching this long form video, I humbly invite you to come check out the short form video and give it a listen to and drop some comments. And if you're watching the long form video and it has comments available, I don't know how that works. I don't think you can drop comments on Twitch archives or highlights. And I don't think you can drop comments on TikTok. I mean, on YouTube videos, I don't think you can participate in the chat, or can you? I'm not sure. But this is just me kicking off a new dimension of this. We do actually, I'm ready to go jump in to play some Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Season 2, because I am, in real life, a Call of Duty nerd. And I do, in real life, hope that maybe, even at this old salty dog age, maybe get good enough to maybe get competitive, to maybe gain an audience just for doing that. As silly, as childish, as meaningless, as irrelevant, as disconnected from the world and the horrible things that are going on in it. It's something that someone thought, boom, here, we can make money off of people doing this and letting them make money off of doing it. And it was pitched to me as something that can be done, and it is presented as something that can be done, and I want to get it done. I would love to thrive and survive off of just playing Call of Duty or playing all the different video games. But I'm trying to thrive and build an empire off of creating so much more than that. And if you get it, thank you for joining me. If you don't get it, that's fine. And if you think it's dumb and silly and meaningless and pointless, tell me why. No skin off my nose. But if you're intrigued, I humbly invite you to smash all the follow buttons, visit all the profiles, and drop all the commentary in all the places that you want, and be part of the audience interactive participation. Hopefully, today is Tuesday. Theoretically, tomorrow I'm going to do Writing Workshop Wednesdays once again for the very first time. Anyone that knows any of the history of that, me trying to bring that into existence, I have taken a running start and then fallen flat on my face, and then taken a running start and then fallen flat on my face to sort of try to get that going. And tomorrow is going to be yet another attempt. I hope you join me. We're going to make a TikTok video there, but then it'll be a whole long just live stream without trying to make a TikTok video about it, from which we will then probably later harvest clips using that fun clippy business to clip things to promote the long form. And we're going to recursively, self-referentially, fractally loop ourselves into a working MacGuffin history of a video podcast content creator that is a character in a book series set in a dystopian sci-fi future in which people in the future who had lost connection to everything about the world, about our culture as we know it now, because of epic sci-fi dystopian events that cut them off moving forward, rediscover it all by stumbling into a surviving worldwide everything archive. Being on the corkboard, spoiler alert, don't give it away. Also, don't steal my ideas. Also, come participate in being part of it if you like. Or not. Thanks. I need to take a break and reevaluate my life choices. Until next time, I've been your humble host for this live stream content creation project behind the scenes office hours look at making a short TikTok video, which turned into making 2 long ones that still need to get trimmed down. Your viewership is appreciated. Please come back again at any time. Swing on through. And if you're curious about the book series, there are indeed sample chapters already available. That's why I'm always humbly inviting you to come on through to this crazy link. It's safe, secure, there's nothing weird, there's nothing bogus to the best of my knowledge. If there is anything going on, it's not my doing. I'm not up to that. Solo.to/Mr. Zeppo is the central directory for the different dimensions I'm trying to merge together of different items, different contents, different... Like, I've got original sketch drawings, which has been way put on the back burner. I've got my social media Instagram account, which was my original flagship social media account when I first started my imaginary journey of being my character and having an opinion about the world and what's going on about it based on things and stuff, and expressing it in the way that social media was empowering him to express it, because he was here from another, universe, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And we've now come full circle. Please and thank you. Come on through, or not. I'll see you next time. May peace, love, and grooviness blossom in your heart, friends. Go be good human beings to each other out there in the real world, as well as in the game lobbies. And on the social media, and on the platforms for public discourse. Remember, we are all just trying to figure it out, yo. Stay tuned for more as we bootstrap the new and improved content creation, craziness, extravaganza, variety, chaos, craziness into some new form and format of experimental practice over the coming days, weeks, months, and theoretically years. I forgot to do that. I want to make Season 2 grinds. We'll do it at the top of the actual Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So, a little teaser for the next episode. After a brain cleansing break and a little bit of editing on this video we just made, I am going to grab a bite to eat and then come back live, make a Season 2 grind signage thing, and jump into Call of Duty. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't realize this, one of the things I appreciate about video games and video game action, video game violence, is they inherently, call me crazy, but if you really, 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 really think about it, they kind of inherently prove the meaningless of violence as a solution tactic. Like, you're not going to solve any problems with violence, right? Unless you treat it like a sport. But then it's got to be virtual. Otherwise, the carnage is too brutal. Especially if you're going to believe things like what Jesus did. Full circle. Boom, boom. I'm out. Oh my god, that was either awesome or so incredibly lame that I'm just gonna get run off the internet.